Okay, so you guys share that in the chat, so we can celebrate everything that you got to do this weekend and something that you are grateful for. A few housekeeping things just to kind of remind you guys is the 12 days of giving in our Do You Thrive customer group. Today is day 12. It is the last and final day, but the great thing is today goes all the way till Saturday. So it's something that your customers can tag, can invite into, and y'all, it's an entire month of Thrive. And I don't see Lori Wallace on here yet, but you guys, 2 years ago, this is what she won. She won a month of the Thrive experience. I was in a 3-way chat today with someone who won 7 days of the Thrive experience through this, and just so excited. They're starting tomorrow. So you guys, you never know who this product is going to wind up in their hands by just something so simple. So take time. You've got until Saturday. That's why Blair planned it this way, because you've got an entire week to get involved. If today was too busy, that's okay. Go in there and make sure that you tag your customers, encourage your customers to tag others as well.
Come here.
Mute. Okay. All right. So the next thing is the holiday party. Okay, you guys, we got a little sneak peek of some of the things that Blair is giving away. Right, Amber? And I don't know if Beth is on, but we got a little sneak peek. It's a lot of fun things. So you have a lot of friends, because we are sitting at 13 people, which really kind of makes me super sad that that's all that's on, but I'm grateful that you guys are on. But there are a lot of people that you know and you love and you care about that are not on this Zoom tonight. Invite them and have them come, like personally reach out to them and invite them to come next week. It's going to be so much fun. It's going to be a place where we get to laugh and we get to compete a little for some fun prizes, right? So that is the holiday party is next week. And then after that is the vision board. Okay, so you guys, as a team, we're doing a vision board. You can look on United We Thrive for like all the exact dates. I don't have those right in front of me. But the cool thing about this is for you. This is for your team. This is for your customers. This is for other people in your life that may not be thriving yet, but that are, you know, wanting to set their 2023 up with success. I will tell you, every time you do a vision board, you do get better at it. You do see things through. I know the first few years I did them, I personally was like, oh, this is a really pretty thing to look at. And then by like March, I kind of forgot about it. And then the next year it was like, oh, it made it till summer. Now I see them all the way through, and it's just a living thing that you can do. And so you're going to get to do this with people. So invite people to it, invite whoever you want. It's free. It's something that we're offering to you, to your customers, to your team members, and just to anybody that you care about, right? So that is exciting. All right, so we're going to dive into tonight's topic. And I was really thinking about like what to share, and really kind of like, and I hope that you guys, if y'all aren't, and you can watch from your bed, but I hope you'll come back at 9 p.m. in like 55 minutes and hop on. If y'all haven't been on the Gift to Grow every Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, that Courtney Glacier is putting on, and just amazing. I'm going to be sharing tonight, so I would love for you guys to come back to that or watch the replay. But there's been some incredible things. There's been, I think, maybe a week and a half, or maybe 8 or 9 people have shared so far. I know Jason kicked it off on the very first day and set the standard so high. So we'd love for you guys to come back. But tonight, I really want to talk about, this has been something that has been really heavy on myself for the last several weeks. But when I really started diving into it, and I love, if you guys have never heard or seen Success Principles by Jack Canfield, this is like the one and the only book that I'm not always actively reading, but it stays out on my desk, because every time I feel like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need like a mindset reset. I need something to jolt me. I can literally open this book and find a solution. Okay. And I love it because you can go to each chapter. So if you're looking for like a really good book, also if you have kids, They make this for teenagers. Okay. So I got this for my oldest daughter about a year and a half ago. And like, it's just something that they can continue to read. So I read a chapter probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago about cleaning up messes. All right. So you can think about it any sort of way. You can think about a physical mess. You can think about, a mess. Maybe you're like, oh my gosh, my business has been a mess. Maybe it's a relationship that's a mess. Maybe it's like, my house right now is a disaster of a mess. Whatever it is, but it's like clutter, right? And so I really dove in and started. It's a very quick chapter, and it is chapter 28 if anybody like has the book and you want to read it later. But I kind of want to walk you guys through it because I think that it helps so much with where we are at the end of a calendar year, right? This is, referring to clean up your messes and your incompletes. So I would ask you, and if you want to share in the chat, I would encourage you to. I want you to think about January. I want you to think about Thrive Palooza, those of you who are there. I want you to think about any time you've been on a Zoom that just fired you up. I want you to think about the day that the cash match bonuses launched. I want you to think about all these really important things from a business standpoint that happened this year. I want you to think about something in your personal life that was maybe something that great that happened, or maybe not so great that happened, but something that was substantial that you're like, I remember that. I may not remember the date, but I remember the month and the week, and I remember the feeling, right? And I want you to think about how you handled it. All right. I want you to think about, did I take that task and I was so excited about it, and then I fell short? I fell incomplete. I left that room a mess. I started that project and I never finished it. If we're all being honest, I'm sure we all have a lot of those things, okay, just in this year. I know I do. I can't even count how many of the messes and the incompletes that I racked up in 2022, okay? And that is okay. But one of the things I want to challenge you is to finish up, regroup those messes, and start fresh and start clean. All right. It doesn't mean every single mess, but it means the ones that are important to you when you're kicking off a new calendar year. All right. So I want everybody, if you're taking notes, I want you to draw a circle. All right. Draw a circle. And I'm going to talk to you about the cycle of completion. And I love the way that Jack Canfield talks about this. And when I was really thinking about some of the messes, and I'm going to talk to you more from a business perspective, although this can truly be applied to anything in your life, personal, home, like anything. But from a business perspective, when I was really feeling that, gosh, I have all these things that I wanted to do. I have all these goals that I am close, but not quite there. I have all these things. And it really just made me feel like, gosh, I have a mess. And then I look at my desk and I'm like, oh my gosh, no wonder I have so many incompletes, because there are so many unfinished things. There's so many messes. And that's what made me dive into this. So is anybody else relate to this? Does anybody else feel that you have like a lot of incompletes or a lot of messes in your life, specifically with your business? Okay, I just want to make sure I'm not just, I need to hear it, but I want to make sure that it's helping you all too. So during this circle, the thing about, I have some notes here. So if you see me looking down, I'm looking at some of the notes that I've taken. So the cycle of completion, I'm going to go through the whole thing, but basically the process of completing a task, completing your income producing activities for a day, okay, for a week. My goodness, what if you did it for 3 weeks? The thought of that is deciding, it's planning, it's starting, it's continuing, it's finishing, and it's completing. Now we're going to break those down, but that is what is required for you to succeed. All right. You decide the result and you go and you finish it. All right. You finish it. All right. And so here's one of the things. So I read through what Jack Canfield said about failing to complete, like those things that we leave incomplete. And if we're really being truthful, it's probably way more than if we dove in and really thought about it, we probably have a lot more things. But what if What if we just stopped that cycle and completed like 10% of those things? Imagine where you would be. Imagine how much further you would be. But why do we have these incompletes? So I thought this was very interesting. Now I'm just going to tell you how I interpreted this. And if you guys want to read specifically what he said, it's chapter 28. But why don't we complete things? So here's the thing. I'm going to use the bonuses for an example. Okay. The bonuses came out. You're like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. This is like huge. I got to clear my schedule for the next 3 months. I'm going big. I'm going to earn this. I'm going to do this. Here's how I'm going to do it. You're so excited. And then you go in that first week, you're like, yeah. You're running, right? And it's important to you and you're there and you're committed and you've planned and you're deciding and you're doing it. And then something else comes along, right? Maybe it's a different shiny object that's like, oh, I've got to go to do this travel thing, or, I've got this new team member. Let me focus on them instead of keep going. And you focus on them, but you got to go, right? Like we get distracted. And what happens is this big giant thing that it gets us so excited, it gets smaller and it gets smaller and it gets smaller. Yes, unexpected illnesses. I mean, if I could give you the list of things that have happened to me since the end of August, like I don't even have enough fingers. Okay. Multiple car accidents, multiple like significant health issues with my kids, like a whole bunch of things. You never expect these things to happen, right? And when these things happen, that big giant thing that we're like, yes, I'm going to complete this. This is my goal. I'm going to go for it. Guess what happens? It gets smaller and it gets smaller and it gets smaller. And then it's not as important as it was the first week. Why? Because there's other things that have happened in our life that have allowed us to get distracted or have become more important, right? And that sometimes is life. But what if we had a plan where we said, this giant thing is so important to me. Maybe I need to shrink it down for a week or two. But when I can get this other thing that just popped up in my life and I can get it like kind of shrunken down and handled a little bit, then maybe this thing can boom back up. But what happens is we never boom it back up. We leave it shrunken. And then everything else piles on top of it. And next thing you know, it's the end of November. And you're like, well, crap, that just went by. And well, here I am. Or it's the end of 2022 and you're looking at your vision board that you set for 2020, in January of 2022, you're like, well, there's another year that I didn't accomplish what I wanted. All right. So we can all be better, right? But the first thing is knowing what it is that's causing us that. And I know for me personally, when I was going through this process of analyzing this, it's usually because I've piled too many things on my plate. I'm like, oh, that sounds good. Oh, this person's doing that. Oh, let me do that. I got 50 really important things and you cannot be good at all of them. In fact, you usually can't, none of them get your attention. You have to really focus on that one thing, that two things, whatever that is. You can't just have a bunch of little things going through. So I look at this as like income producing activities. All right. I look at this as you have all these things, you have your income producing activities, right? And maybe you hold yourself back because you don't want to be the annoying girl or guy in the inbox. You don't want to sell to someone. You don't want someone to feel like, oh, what is she doing? What is she? So what do? You talk yourself out of it. You avoid, you do everything else besides share your story. I know this because I lived it. All right. Like we stay busy with work because we're in the chats, we're supporting other people's posts, we're on all the things, but we're not moving the needle, which is our income producing activities, which is opening our mouth and helping other people, asking questions, learning, following up with people, engaging, providing value, right? So I look at it as sometimes that's uncomfortable, right? Like sometimes it's really uncomfortable to put yourself out there and to say, like, I don't really want to send this message because they've ignored me the last 4 messages. But I listened to Janetta Joseph last week, y'all, and it took 14 messages for her to say yes. 14. Now look at her. One of the fastest growing teams who's been here for 7, 8 years. I don't even know. She's been here a long time. She was one of the fastest. She's growing. Her team was at the top of the leaderboard, right? She got out of her comfort zone. She got in and she did the uncomfortable things to grow. She made that decision and she didn't leave it incomplete, that task, right? So how can we change this? Like, how can we improve? I don't want to say change because there's nothing wrong with who we are or what we're doing, but we all want to be better. We all want to go to 2023 improving on how we handled things in 2022. It could be that you had the best year ever in 2022 in your business, but you still probably want to even be better. I want to be a better leader. I want to be better at customer service. I want to be a better thriver. I want to be a better whatever it is that is important for you. Right. And yes, I love that Pamela wrote that. Do it, delegate it, delay it, and dump it. Yes. So good. I know. Isn't it? I don't know if you must have read this chapter too, but I know I'm all up in the highlights.
I
Yes.
had to go look for my book.
Yes, it's so good. Well, you guys will have to read the chapter when I get done. Oh, you got it too, Beth. I love it. I know. It's like our team handbook almost, isn't it? So when you go into like, what can we do? All right. So here's an activity. We're not going to do this right now, but if you want to do this, write this down and do it, maybe brain dump it tomorrow morning, tonight before you go to bed. Brain dump everything. And if you have the book, it's on page 250, but it's a whole list of ideas of like what you can brain dump that will help you with your incompleteness. So like certain things that you are like, oh, this was incomplete or this was incomplete. So one of the things that I recognized for my business that I guarantee you will hit home with you is business activities that need completion, that are just incomplete. My follow-ups right now are incomplete. I need to buckle down and to finish them out, right? Promises that are not kept, not to anyone else, promises that are not kept to you. I promised myself that I'm going to sit down today and I'm going to reach out to those 5 people. I promised myself I'm going to do that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I promised myself I'm going to get on that team huddle. I promised myself that I'm going to participate in this, or I'm going to share this, or I'm going to ask that chicken list person, right? The book is called Success Principles, Heather, by Jack Canfield. So make a list of those things that you feel and just brain dump them, you guys. I am not saying that you need to complete them all, but when you get them out of your mind and you get them onto paper, it's a release. It's like, okay, I no longer have to store that. And here's what happens. You have to tell me, type in the chat if you can resonate with what I'm saying. Here's what happens. When we have our mind full of these incomplete tasks, these, dang it, I wasn't good at that, or gosh, I just can't do it like that person, or I just don't know how, or it's disappointment. Then it tricks our mind. And then we start telling ourselves things that aren't true, that we can't, that we don't know how, that will never be. And all of those negative self-talks, it's limiting beliefs that are holding us back. And the reality is yes, you can. The reality is you can be the best version of you, and you can have all the successes in the world that you want. But part of it is getting it out of our mind and putting it onto paper and releasing it and not holding it hostage anymore for any sort of disappointment you've created in yourself about these things. I will tell you that when I was going through this sort of process, it was about a 3-4 month process for me. And the crazy thing is I knew for probably 2.5, 3 years, you guys, that something was holding me back. I knew that there was incompleteness. I knew that I wasn't living up to my full potential. All right. And I knew it, and I knew what I needed to do, but I didn't do it. And nobody probably would ever know that, because I know that we all think that we're showing up and we're doing all the things and we're doing these things, but you know your potential, and you know when you're not living up to it. And I wasn't. All right. I knew I wasn't, but I was like, I know what I need to do, but how do I get there? And a lot of it was this negative self-talk, this fear that like, I can't do that again. I don't know how. What am I going to do? I'm 7.5 years in my business. Like, how is that going to happen? And when you release that and you get into the actions of this completion cycle, it does happen. All right. It does happen and it will happen. But guess what? It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be getting through the nitty gritty. It's going to be pushing yourself to places where you're going to be like, I hate that I'm doing this. I don't like this right now. I know I need it. I know it's going to work, but I don't really like this comfort. It feels weird, right? Like, have you been there? Oh, man. Yes, yes, yes. So I want you to think about it. I'm going to go through the cycle and I want you to think about, I'm asking you to walk away tonight with one thing that you're going to complete. One thing that you want to complete, okay, by the vision board party. All right, that gives you 2 weeks. By the vision board party, I want you to have completed whatever that one task is to you. Why? Because I want you to go into the vision board party proud of yourself that you completed whatever the task is. It truly could just be, reaching out to 20 people between now and then. It could be, hey, I've got all these free accounts that I haven't followed up with. Let me go follow up with them. It could be posting for 7 days or following your actual 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 plan for the next 2 weeks. Whatever it is for you, choose it and do the completion cycle. All right. And then celebrate yourself in your chats. Okay. So the top of the circle, it's going to be decide. All right. I want you to write the word decide. All right. You're going to decide what is the task that you're going to complete. Then I want you to go down to the right, like about, I guess that's probably about 2 o'clock. And I want you to write the word plan. All right. What is your plan? All right. What is it that you need to do? You're deciding on it. What is your plan? Go down to 4 o'clock and I want you to write start. When are you starting? I hope you're going to start tomorrow. Okay. Whatever it is, we're talking a short period of time. Start it. Go down to 6 o'clock and I want you to write continue. All right. You're going to start tomorrow, but the continue is to see it through. The continue is to still be doing it on Thursday, to still be doing it on Saturday, to still be doing it on Monday. Guess what? Christmas Eve rolls around. You can still do it. The day after the 26th of Christmas, you're still doing it. All right. That's the continue. Go to 8, where the 8 would be on the clock. And that is finish. All right. That's where you're at the tail end. You're like, I am 99% complete. This is no longer a mess for me in my life. And then if you go back up to about like 10:30, it's the word complete. All right. That's when you're 100% done. That's the feeling that you're going to have on the vision board night when you're like, man, I'm proud of myself. I did that. I just did that. And now you will kind of know how to cycle, because what most people they decide really well. They're like, yep, I'm going for that. They plan great. They get the plan in place. They start it, right? And then you get all the way down to like 6 o'clock. You get halfway through that completion cycle where it's the continue. And that's where we bail. That's where other things become important. That's where we start making excuses. That's where we let life get in the way. And listen, I know that life happens. I'm not discounting anybody's things that are going on, but I want you to know that everyone has things going on, and you're always going to have things going on, right? That is one thing that over the last 4 or 5 years, I have learned. There is always reasons why you can't. It's exactly why you have to, because there will never be the perfect time where you don't have things going on. It's just the life. It's just the way that things are. There will always be someone that's sick. There will always be someone that's hurting. There will always be something that's paining you. There will always be something. So if we can learn this completion cycle and we can learn how to adapt that into our everyday chaotic lives, and chaos ebbs and flows, right? It's like being a business owner. Sometimes it's like super chaotic. You're like, I'm just trying to hold on. Like I think about the water, like when you're in a pool or a lake and you're like, you got your nose and your mouth up and you're like, I'm breathing, I'm here, but I am practically drowning, right? But you're not, you're there. you can still work on the completion cycle. And then when the chaos slows down, you're like, man, I'm crushing life. This is great. I am crushing it. I got all this time. I can do all these things. But when we learn our task and we learn not to sit with emptiness and incompletions, then things get done. We learn not to pile everything on our plate. We learn to protect our space. And if you can really think through this sort of mindset over, the next few weeks as you're going into 2023 and wrap up some of these things, I really believe that your mind will be super clear when you go after 2023 and you button up the things that you want. There's always going to be those things that we really want to do in life. But then when we come down to what is moving the needle in the importance, like, where am I going? What is important to me? And you guys, we are coming. What you do now through the end of December is going to set you up. It's going to set you up for January. On the next Zoom, I'm going to be talking about separation season and storms and how to manage those things, and momentum. And I really believe that the next 2 or 3 weeks, I mean, we are getting ready to in like a time that none of us have ever been around for. And the only thing I can kind of compare it to would maybe be detox, but like such a small scale. I mean, when Elite launches and people start getting results, it's the beginning of the year. I mean, January through May, you guys, you can, whatever your volume is closing out at when it closed out in November, you can quadruple, that volume by the end of May. Where do you want to be at Thrivepalooza? And I would really encourage you to choose that one thing, to finish it through the completion cycle, to have a clear head when you go into the vision board planning party, and to truly be able to go after 2023 with everything. And then if you don't have this book, pull this, the diagram that you drew back out, put it on there, and you'll start to recognize, you're like, oh man, I so left that in the continue. I left that there. I mean, like, I think of house projects. I've got about 18 continues sitting around my house, right? I'm like, okay, we're going to get these completed. It's not that hard. The hard part was getting started in the plan and deciding, and now we just got to get it through. So I challenge you, clean up the mess, clean up the incompleteness, and really be ready to go into next year. Does anybody have anything that they want to add that has maybe helped you with any sort of incompleteness or tidying up of tasks?
Hey, Kel.
Yes.
My book is really old, and it has Jack's signature in the front of it. And chapter 28 for me is on 208, and it only goes like 4.5 pages.
Oh.
I'm going to screenshot them and I'll post them in your comments.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Because it's only 4.5. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 4 or 5 pages. That's what I love about this book, is there's so much like packed into it.
Yeah. Here.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I saw him in person. It was amazing.
Yeah, I don't have any signatures here.
It's amazing if you get it.
Yes, yes. All right, you guys. Well, I'm so grateful that you spent time tonight. Yes, and I agree, Carl, so much. Now is the time it's effective. And, you guys, you can, like, I want you to really think about vision casting and really think about what you want. And, the habits, I know, find yourself somebody to hold you accountable. I know Amber has been instrumental for me personally. Just being there, right? Like, we meet on Zooms almost, I mean, for 2.5 months now, we pretty much meet on Zooms almost every day at 10 a.m. Unless one of us has stuff going on, and sometimes we're not even doing the same thing, but man, I know that if I don't show up, she's going to be like, where are you? And if I have a doctor's appointment or there's something going on with one of my kids, like, I tell her ahead of time, but like, not showing up is not an option, because she's going to be like, where are you? I need you. And if I didn't show up, it would be the same thing. If she didn't show up, it's the same thing. So find that person that you can move with, find that person that you can run with, find that person that, you can just be in community with, and anybody is welcome to join us on those. You know, I know Ashley and Beth were on with us today, and you know, there's something about just being present, and I know for me, it makes me sit still, because if not, I would probably be like, oh, well, I hear the laundry going off. Let me go up there. But I know it's 1 hour where I'm sitting still and I'm doing those income producing activities. I'm starting, I'm deciding, I'm planning, I'm completing, and we're continuing it every day. And I know we both have had a lot of results from it. So, and if that time doesn't work, you guys, this Zoom, Blair opens this Zoom up to whoever wants to use it. I mean, I would welcome back working Zooms. You know, if you are like, you know what, I want to host a working Zoom at this time every single week. Amber and I did this because we needed it. We didn't, I mean, just to be perfectly transparent, I know this is going to sound mean, but we didn't do it because the team needed it. I know that everybody needs it, but we did it because we needed it. What do you need? That's why we started the Sunday nights planning out our social media and our calendar. Why? Because we knew we needed it. So what do you need? What can you lead? What can you step up and do? And then you hold yourself accountable. And guess what? People will join you. They will absolutely join you. Okay, Nicole does hers every day at 9:30. So see, you can join in Nicole's. So there's opportunity there. And I hope I see some of your beautiful faces on at 9. And you guys don't forget next Monday, the holiday party. And don't forget about the 12 days of giving. Thanks for being on tonight. Bye, guys.